All right, welcome to my first YouTube channel video. I'm going to be just going over my current thoughts on where we are at. This is the first Bitcoin technical analysis video I'm going to do. So these will be daily, and this will be my usual format. We'll be just jumping right into it. Okay. So today, as it's my first video, I'll just explain a little bit about the format and upcoming videos, and then we'll just go on into it. So first, I'll just talk about a little bit about how I'm going to be doing these videos. You'll see me with the same 3 indicators down here. You will also see me with the same indicators. If we pull this down, we'll see I'm using SMA 50, SMA 100, SMA 200, and SMA 21. And I have them color coded, and I usually just try to keep it the same everywhere. So at the beginning of every video, we will just start off with a clean slate, and we'll just go into it from there. And that's how I like to do all my TA every day. I like to start off with a clean slate, take a look at it, then maybe take a look at what I had done previously. We can pull up, let's see if it may have deleted it, but that's okay. No, anyway, so what we're going to do is we will start off by just talking about like where I think we're at. So we're looking at the weekly time frame, and I think we are pretty well getting to the end of this rally. Now, why do I say that? So if we really take a look at this, and it has to be on the logarithmic scale, okay, we can, if you see it, if you put it to an auto, it really gives you kind of a picture of, like, you know, when Bitcoin was way down here to $200, you know, where we're kind of pushed ourselves to in that territory, right? So what I like to do, oops, my bad. What I like to do is not use the thing. I like to make it, you know, we like to zoom in and zoom out a lot. So we're going to be pulling the scale across a lot. So we pull back here, we can see this was an enormous, nice rally all the way to 19,000. And we have since then have had lots of corrections, and we've moved all the way up. So if we take a look at just our current situation, which is most important to us right now, we've been rallying since, well, like 15,000. I mean, if we just take our magnet tool here and we just do a little horizontal ray here right at the bottom, we can see it landed at $15,460. And I mean, technically, we've had these pullbacks. Oh my God, Bitcoin's dying. Oh my God, Bitcoin's dying. But guess what? We pretty well from that point on kept going up, but we've topped out. You know, there's always a top to these, just like back when we had this massive rally to 19,000. You know, we had this consolidation, then we had another rally up, but it was just a false rally, right? Because we fell back down underneath here. So these are the things I will talk about, is like the highs and the lows. And as I do my educational videos, which I hopefully will start getting into tomorrow, these will they will help you understand where I'm, like, when I'm talking about doing my daily TAs, you'll have a better understanding of what I'm talking about, why I talk about, you know, certain things, and it'll give you a better detailed explanation of what I'm doing. But when I'm doing my daily TAs, you'll just notice that we're going to flick through, and I won't be explaining a lot of this stuff. Like tomorrow, when I go into my daily tomorrow, we will just be jumping right into it, and small explanations of what I'm talking about, but it'll be short. I want to do short 10-minute videos. I would like that. I think that is enough daily TA for you every day. You don't need to sit there and analyze hours of people's YouTube videos. You just need a good 5 to 10 minute overview of what's happening every day, and then you check in the next day and go day to day. If you're not day trading, this is the channel for you, okay? If you are day trading, you know, I'll be talking about some things that could definitely help you day trade, but we will not be doing much day trading. I've moved away from day trading in my strategies quite a while ago. If I do it, it's just more, I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm gambling, so I just don't do it that often, okay? So almost all my TA is going to be, you know, extended, okay? When we are going to be discussing time frames, we will be working on, you know, our weekly, 3-day, daily time frames. We'll be just going over this really quickly here. So let's look at their daily. Each candle is a day, right? Okay. We got, this is the current situation. So we've climbed ourselves up, and then, you know, we've got these peaks that we managed to hit. So we hit a peak here and a nice peak here, and then our most recent peak, of course, all the way up to 126,296. Now, it's important to note that I am using Coinbase's Bitcoin to US dollar. So this is Coinbase chart, okay? So I will not be changing. This will be on my normal. I use Coinbase's Bitcoin chart. Basically, I've been using it for a very long time. This is how I will always be doing my Bitcoin analysis. I'll be just drawing, using tools, you know, pulling our fibs, all those things. But we'll just be doing it on the fly. We'll have a clean slate every time. So our most recent high really has now, you know, hit this resistance line. You know, we struck it here, we struck it here, and now this is technically, you know, a third try at that break. And we did break through, but it just wasn't enough, you know. Obviously, with this massive drop, that just goes to show that the investors were not ready to push this to a new all-time high. And of course, you know, we will also discuss some economic things, because everything in Bitcoin is now mostly affected by world events. You know, it's driven by market sentiment, and when you're talking about market sentiment, it is subjective, and you know, it could change at any time. Every day today here with the news cycle, as everyone is aware of, it's something new, you know, brain melting. So it is very difficult to predict, you know, the President Trump's remarks, let's say, that could drop, you know, do this. Let's, you know, just by announcing 100% tariffs, you get a drop. And, you know, if we scroll down, you'll see that I do follow, obviously, DJIs. And you will almost always see a correlation now between these markets, right? You know, you got your NASDAQ, and I'm Canadian, and so I like to look at the TSX, but, you know, it still affects us, right? It's world. Bitcoin is traded on the world, you know, on a world stage. So we need to, you know, when there's a war or when there's a major world event like a catastrophic, you know, environmental event, you know, there's so many different things that could happen that actually affects markets, right? So Bitcoin is not susceptible to that anymore. Maybe one time you could make that claim, but not anymore. Okay, so we are always aware of that. So this drop obviously came into it. And now what, even though, you know, this was like I talked about with President Trump kind of initiated this is kind of going to happen, okay? I mean, we're on the daily scale. We can see how much it pushed up. It's got up to this range here that we're definitely going to just be talking about a lot here. Like, it's not going to sustain this range, right? I mean, I'm watching this 200 really closely on the daily, and I really think that it won't be long before we'll be touching that 107 mark right there. So let's do a zoom in. So like this is how I typically, this is how I start. I will start on the weekly, and I'll go daily, and I'll look at the 3-day, and we'll just talk about that a little bit, but then we'll move back down. So you'll see some numbers here that I entered in myself. You'll see I got 45, 90, and 270. So these are numbers that I like to go by, because if we're looking at the 15-minute chart, which is a nice number to try to look at it on a close range scale, we will just be technically looking at it like we're not going to be making a trade based on this time frame, right? But if we have this, and then say the 30-minute, 40-minute, 90-minute, they start to line up. Like, if our indicators are lining up and it's saying, okay, well, it's going to make a bullish move up or bullish move down, maybe we'll talk about making it. I will consider myself making the trade, right? This is not financial advice. I'll say that over and over again. This is just how I chart, how I get there. So when we're looking at this chart, I mean, right away you can see how that big drop come down nice dramatically. You got this wick, and then they picked it right back up, and now they're just kind of consolidating, I would call this, right? We're just bouncing around here now until it gets its footing. But I honestly, we're looking at these. Let's take a look at this. This is the RSI. Let me open that up so you can see. So we have MACD, KDJ, and RSI. These are my three main ones, and we'll discuss them in full detail at another time. But right now, these are pretty well, you know, you got a little spike up here, and we're looking on a 90-minute time frame, by the way. So I like I said, I like to use these. These are some that I use a lot personally. So I'll talk about those on another video. So on the 90-minute, we got a nice clean, you can see this nice clean up and down. So you know what's coming is going to look something like this, right? So we've got this bottom here, and we've got a top here. So most likely we are consolidating along this line here, mid-range. So we could do this, something like this, and it can do something like this. And this is the kind of skepticism that I have constantly. This is what gives me an edge, I believe. I use this skepticism to really give myself two scenarios, more than one scenario all the time. Even if it's just two scenarios, it's more than one. More than one scenario in your thinking and your thought process when you're looking at this is how you should always be doing it. Can it break to the upside or do it break to the downside? I mean, pretty simply, it either stays going horizontal for a little bit, but at some point it does one or the other. That is it. That's just how this works. And I like to look at things like this. So do I think it's going to go up? Well, our KDJ is on the high point, okay? It's 111 is showing there, so, or 112. It's moving around there. We got our RSI hit mid-range, but I'll talk about the RSI. We're on a completely big, massive downward trend that you can almost see just by me pulling this up. Let's this button. What I'll do is just take a quick look on the daily time frame. I'll give you an idea of what I've been looking at now. So first of all, let's pull this back down. Let's pull this down. Oops, wrong button. Again. This one. Okay, so let's get everything off the board. Take this and move it up like this. We'll move that like that. Just give me a minute. I'll clean some of this up. Okay. And I'll talk about like my account, what account I'm using, and on TradingView, what I think is what you need and what you don't need, kind of thing. Because I don't think you need the biggest package if you're just going to be doing this on a daily. You do need to pay for it, though. I'll show you why in another video. So we got our RSI pulled up. Now we're going to pull that right up. Now what we're going to do is zoom out. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So we've had these really high points in the past when we had this massive rally. So we were hitting the bottoms, and then you see these nice tops here, okay? So what I've been looking at is ever since we've hit this big downward trend, we had that actually what I would call a reset of the RSI. What is a reset of the RSI? I mean, it basically means that it breached the top for a long period of time and it reset all the way to the bottom, right? So the oversold and the overbought and the oversold areas. So if we just take a look, this did a nice reset, right? And it compares to the trend. After this downtrend, it reset and it decided to pop, right? So we gave us this huge high moment, 84.46. But then if we take this line, and I like to use the ray for this, watch what happens. So we're going to click here and we're going to click here. Now, if we compare this with our current trend, we can see clearly that it peaked out here and then it started a downward trend. But the price action rose during these peaks. So while this peak and this peak, from peak to peak, we can see that peak number 2 is lower than peak number 1, right? But on the price action, we had a peak out at about 89K, but then we just kept going. And then this next peak here is about 111. Okay, so it just kept going down. What does this tell us? Well, this is a deviation. We'll discuss this kind of stuff even later on, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you can see that this is a deviation from the norm, right? And that is a clue as to why we're going into a downward trend. Now, if we look on the weekly, do we see it? Well, we do, but we just got to make a little bit of change. Let's just go here and here. So you can still see it, and this is what I've been watching. I've been watching this now for a long time. I've seen these deviations play out time and time again, and they are extremely strong, and you just need to always watch them and be aware that it's happening. It doesn't mean that it's going to not come up. I mean, we can still come up. That's not what I'm saying. But knowing that this is happening means that there will be a drop. Like, if you're looking at this on the weekly and you're seeing 54,000 for the 200 SMA, you might be thinking, that's never going to happen. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is these numbers are likely to be hit in the future. And, we've had this beautiful rally, and I'm not a doomsayer, but this is just TA. This is what it is. I'm seeing this massive deviation on the RSI from the price action, and we know that's bearish. It's a bearish deviation. Okay, that means that this is ready to come back down. So we are prone to deviate from this price action at any time, and the only action it's going to go is down. So, having said that, that's where our mindset is right now. We are watching for tops and lows, and that's pretty well where we are. And I know that, like, me starting this YouTube channel at this weird time where Bitcoin's hitting these really big numbers, it's exciting, and I know it's exciting. Everybody's been really excited. I've been excited, but at the same time, we got to be skeptical. We got to be realistic about our strategies going forward. Like, we need to look at it and say, in the next month, 3 months, 6 months, year, where are we going? What's the direction? Because we know that Bitcoin plays out over a 4-year period typically, and it's maybe that whole system is changing too, and so the evolution of all of these ideas, maybe some people are lagging in that, and they're not evolving in their strategies. You know what I mean? So maybe we used to look at 4-year cycles, as a positive thing or as a sure thing. I think that might be a better term to say, a sure thing that it used to happen. And maybe just is not happening in the same way now because things are changing. So we'll just keep analyzing. And, if you want to know exactly what I think for the next 24 hours, we're just pretty well playing out this scenario here in this short-term run. We're not going to be having any major price action happening in the next 24 hours. We will reassess again into tomorrow's daily, and we can see this kind of like, we can see these two different scenarios here playing. I'm seeing this right now. You got this drop. You got this is like a nice bounce, a nice cushion that you like to see. Sometimes you can see this line going across. Oops, let me just let's just put a straight line there because I'm bad sometimes. Here we go. So we can move that right up. If we move that up there, I like to move it right to the bottom, not at the bottom of the wicks, but you do see that's wick exactly on top of this line, right? If we zoom in, we can really see how it just hit that line, right? So we've got that. We've got this support line here, the support line here. We've got this resistance line by this double top action, basically, that happened when it came up from here and here. So you got this little double top action, but then was rejected down, and up, and now we may bounce here. Like I said earlier, I do not think it's coming up from here, so I think the next 24 hours the gameplay will be within this box here, okay? So you'll just be bouncing between 111,000 and its current price action of around 113,000.5. And that's basically that's a daily TA from me. I really hope you stick around. I hope to see you next time. Like I said, every day that I do this, I'm going to start off. We'll be starting with a clean slate. I'll just delete everything, you know. Sometimes I keep it depending on if I like this here. But for the most part, I see this every day. I see the same thing day in, day out, you know. And if you stick around for my videos and the more videos that I make, I'm hoping that I could educate you and teach you how to do what I do. Like, I spent a lot of time doing this myself, and I feel like it's a perfect time for me to, you know, jump in, make some videos, just see, you know, just to share my perspective, I guess. I just wanted to share my perspective, and I guess YouTube is going to give me a little bit of an avenue. So thank you for sticking around. Like I said, that's my thoughts on for the next 24 hours. We're right here after this major drop right here. We're just kind of consolidating within this little range. And by tomorrow, we will see if it's dropped back down to around 110 or 111. And we will go from there. And maybe tomorrow you will see one of my educational videos where I just start discussing. My first video will be on indicators. So I'll discuss each indicator, why I picked the indicators I got, and why I do not have, like, why don't you see a million indicators here? Well, it's because I believe in the 5 strategy. You know, we like to use 4 to 5 different indications of where the price action is going. So when I derive at the idea that this is going to be boxed in, and we say, okay, well, we saw this low and we saw this, right? And we were just discussing how this looks kind of fishy, right? So, you know, is it going to be going in a consolidating trend like that? Do we look at it more like this, right? Is it like this or is it like this? So does it come up a little bit? So the reasons why I pick all of this, I will explain in a separate video for each of these indicators. But like I said, if I can see, I like to use, like I said, you need to have a certain number of indicators giving you a direction. So if we just take these 3 right now real quick, well, I can see that we're positive on our MACD, but this isn't really, this is a curve. You see the curve here in the blue line? Like, we really need to watch that. Like, that's a curve. And then we really need to watch this candle. So on the 90 minutes, if in the next candle, so now what we will be watching for is our next candle to see, does this go up or does it reduce, and do we get a color change? And that color change, when you see this red, like say this harsh red to this light red, is a major indicator on that you're getting this trend change, right? So we watch that really strong. So that's our MACD. But then watch this. What is happening on our RSI is it's tipping down a little bit. But most importantly, our KDJ, which is what I'll talk about a lot, our KDJ is kind of peaked out here and it's starting to lean back down, right? So what happens is you need to get this cross punched to really drive the trend up or down. But we're not going to punch across here on the down side of this trend because it's not ready to cross. So you're going to have, you know, X amount of candles before this happens. So, and if it doesn't happen, it may just do something like this. And we can show you these examples over time. If you stick around to the videos, you'll see how this can happen, and this can happen. They will all be, all of these are realistic for the red line, okay? This can happen a lot. And so it can kind of mess you up. But at the moment, we're seeing this tip down here, a tip down here, and we're watching this not really giving us a lot of volume on the MACD, right? And my volume indicator is not there right now, but it should be. So typically I have that up. So yeah, we don't have, our volume has been steady from candle to candle. Our volume from about this point has been, so it rallied up, but then it's just been going down. And that's a very good sign that, you know, this little rally is weakening. And so you have different scenarios to play out here, but the most likely, as we can tell, is just a soft drop down, right? You got a couple thousand here in Bitcoin, and that's only a really small percentage of drop. So we're not going to be seeing any big major drop. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for today. That's what I'm going to expect to come up for the next 24 hours, like I said. And we'll go from there. So you'll see pretty much this happening most likely, or we'll try to retest this area. Okay. All right. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much for sticking around, and like and subscribe if you haven't already.